The Senzo Meyiwa murder trial continues today with Mthokozisi Thwala still on the stand. Just yesterday, Meyiwa's childhood friend had flatly refused to comment on the statement made to police by Kelly Khumalo's sister, Zandi Khumalo. Defense lawyers say that statement contradicts Thwala's testimony on who tried to stop the gunman. But our reporter, eNCA's Moloko Moloto, is tracking the story for us and joins me now to give us that context and update as to what is expected today. Moloko, good morning to you, colleague. Exactly another day in court during the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. But let's start with what occurred in court yesterday when we saw Mthokozisi flatly denying to comment on Zandi's testimony.
Good morning, Tumelo. Well, Mthokozisi Thwala, the former friend of the Slade Bafana and Orlando Pirates captain Senzo Meyiwa, who was present in the Khumalo house on the night Senzo was gunned down yesterday, took to the witness stand, and again he was cross-examined by the defense lawyer, advocate Charles Nisi. It started off with the witness, Mr. Mthokozisi Thwala, flatly refusing ever mentioning that the gunman who had intruded into the house spoke in both isiZulu and Sesotho. And he actually, as the defense lawyer, was insisting that that's exactly what you said during your evidence in chief. He flatly denied ever saying that, going to an extent of calling advocate Nisi, the defense lawyer, a liar. That prompted the court to even go and listen into the audio records. And it turned out that it's exactly what he said, Mr. Mthokozisi Thwala, and he then apologized to advocate Nisi for calling him a liar. And it is important because that was the basis for the entire cross-examination, or part of it actually. And Mr. Nisi went further, the advocate, to poke holes on the testimony that's been given by Mr. Mthokozisi Thwala. For instance, you'd recall, Tibelo, that Mr. Mthokozisi Thwala, that is, had told the court already that he was not part of the scuffle that ensued in the house between the gunmen as well as others who were in that particular house. I'm referring here to the two Khumalo sisters, Zandi and Kelly, as well as Longe Thwala, who was at the time the boyfriend of Zandi Khumalo. And of course, there's no relation between the two Thwalas, and also the mother of the two Khumalo sisters. Now, he says he stood in the corridors trying to protect the son of Kelly Khumalo, Christian, so that he doesn't witness that mayhem. However, we heard from the advocate, Mr. Charles Nisi, saying that when Zandi Khumalo is called to testify, she will place Mr. Mthokozisi Thwala right at the center of that particular scuffle. So that's one contradiction that, according to the defense, will be made on the witness or the testimony that's already been made by Mr. Mthokozisi Thwala. Another contradiction which advocate Nisi says Zandi Khumalo will make is with regard to who between Senzo Meyiwa and Longe Thwala was the first one to charge at or to confront.
Apologies, colleague, if you may just allow me to interject there, Moloko Moloto, my colleague. Apologies for interrupting you. I'm hearing from our team that we do have the visuals of Dr. Nandipha Magudumana's family arriving in court. I suppose those visuals will be made available to us in just a moment, where court proceedings are expected, where Dr. Nandipha Magudumana's family, alongside his lawyers, are arriving in court. Remember, herself and her co-accused will be hearing today in court as to whether their bail application has been granted or not. We understand they are back in the dock just to hear word from the judge as to what that final decision is looking like. They had, of course, applied for bail, but they do face numerous charges, this including baiting and aiding in the daring Thabo Bester escape, but also other charges including fraud and corruption have been tabled against them during, of course, the Facebook rapist and murderers daring escape. Now, we do expect to see Dr. Nandi Phamaku-Dumana as well as the co-accused in the dock this very morning for that bail application. But those live visuals you're looking at right now are coming to you from the Bloemfontein High Court, and you could see quite a number of, other people showing key interest into this case. I think I just saw also a lady adorning Bloemfontein Celtics shirt, and you would remember that Katlego Bereng was a huge football fan, and he had just been buried this past weekend with his family, quite emotional regarding the events that led to his untimely passing, saying the only thing that would give them closure at this point is justice. So we'll be sure to take you back to, of course, those court proceedings out in the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court, or rather High Court, as soon as we see, of course, Dr. Nandi Phamaku-Dumana as well as the co-accused appearing and the judge. But we head back, of course, to also the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. It continues today with Mthokozisi Thwala still on the stand, and my colleague Moloko Moloto had just been giving us some context as to what happened yesterday. We saw Thwala, of course, denying to comment on Kelly Khumalo's sister Zandi's statement. And my apologies once again, colleague, for cutting you there. We're just seeing those visuals out in Bloemfontein. But as we come back to you, you were still finishing, giving us some context as to what also happened, but also what we can expect in court today as those proceedings continue.
Yes, indeed. The other contradiction that, according to the defense lawyer advocate Charles Nisi, is that, as you would recall, Mr. Mthokozisi Thwala, when he told the court, he said the first person to charge at the gunman who had entered or intruded into the Khumalo house was Senzo Meyiwa. Of course, he had changed that statement. Initially, he had said it was Longe Thwala, and later he changed the statement to say it was actually Senzo Meyiwa. Now, according to Mnisi, the defense lawyer, when Zandi Khumalo is called to stand in the witness stand, she will contradict Mr. Mthokozisi Thwala, because apparently she will say it was Mr. Longe Thwala who was the first person to confront the gunman. So all those contradictions that defense will certainly use to discredit the state witness, as it is their work, of course, to destroy the testimony and also to discredit the state witnesses, all in the interest of their clients. 5 accused men who are in the dock. Today, we are expecting Mr. Mthokozisi Thwala to be back in the witness stand, and according to the defense lawyer, he is now going to be talking about what Mr. Longe Thwala, who is also likely to be called and be a witness, what he will be contradicting, what are the points that he will be contradicting, points that have already been mentioned in court by Mr. Mthokozisi Thwala. So essentially, the witness is going to be back in the witness stand to be cross-examined by the defense. There are 2 other defense lawyers for accused number 4 and accused number 5 who must still cross-examine Mr. Mthokozisi Thwala. So this particular trial is not about to end anytime soon, because there's quite a number of witnesses that the state is likely to call.
All right, well, we'll leave it there, colleague Moloko Moloto, as you're out following through with the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. We'll see, of course, how those proceedings and the testimony continues with Mthokozisi Thwala. It would be interesting to see to what extent the contradiction between Mthokozisi Thwala's statement and testimony differs from that of Kelly Khumalo's sister, Zandi Khumalo, as he continues to give his version of events the day that the Bafana Bafana captain and star Senzo Meyiwa was shot at.